Okay, guys and girls, if you're currently commuting, remember, hands at 10 and 2, no texting, and be safe out there on the roads. If you're on your treadmill, get ready to sweat. And I hope that you took your 9mm SWAT fuel before you got on that treadmill so you can burn off those extra calories and get fit for the new year. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle, and we are back for yet again another episode of Student of the Gun Radio. And on the other side of the glass case of motion, he's got a look of anticipation on his face, folks. He looks like he's excited, like he's got something he wants to say.
Well, I'm excited about what he's going to talk about, because he said he's going to blow my mind, and he didn't tell me what he was going to talk about. So I'm anxiously waiting over here.
Yeah, the main topic of this episode I actually came up with this morning, Jared. I was sitting this morning having my first cup of coffee, and you know what I was reading? You know, your mom bought me for my birthday the Duck Dynasty, or the Duck Dynasty Daily Devotional. That's a lot of D's in one sentence, but I was reading the daily there, and the topic didn't really deal with this specifically, but it gave me kind of an inspiration. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of Professor Paul here coming up. But before we get into that, we need to take care of some basic housekeeping and what have you. We had an armed living class yesterday here at Student of the Gun University. Fantastic class, a lot of really good students. We had people not only from our home state of Mississippi, but we had people from Louisiana, from Illinois, and Texas as well. So we had 4 states represented in the class. We had males and females, and one of our listeners out there is a husband who did the exact correct thing. And what is that, Jared? What is the exact correct thing if you're a husband who has a wife that's thinking about getting into shooting?
To taking your wife to a class, or sending your wife to a class. Don't try to teach her yourself, because she probably won't listen.
That's right. She's not going to listen to you. I'm sorry. I hate to break your heart. You're like, but I'm a really smart guy, Paul. I've been shooting my whole life, ever since I was born, and my wife should listen to me. How's that working out for you? Probably not too well. Yeah, if you've got a wife who's interested in shooting, or who wants to conceal carry, or doesn't understand why you think you need so many guns and holsters and accessories, rather than try and convince her yourself, just buck up and send her to a class. Either, dig your wallet out of your back pocket and sign her up for a class, pay for the class, and let her go. And you know what I said to Mr. and Mrs. Russ yesterday? I walked up. They were online. I was lining people up, and I said, "You guys have the same last name, right?" And he says, "Yeah, we need to be separated, huh?" I said, "Yep, you need to go to the other side of the line."
That's funny that he knew. Yeah, he did the right thing, bringing his wife to another class.
Absolutely. And we got a little note this morning that says Mrs. Russ is very excited about shooting and wants to go do it even more now.
Good.
So she had a good time.
See, that's what happens.
That's right. That's what happens.
Bring your wife to Student of the Gun University,
and she'll want to go.
She'll want to keep shooting.
She'll want you to buy more guns. How's that?
There we go.
We will. There's a deal. You want to make that deal with them? You bring your wife to Student of the Gun University, and we will convince her that you need to buy more guns and ammunition and holsters and accessories. How's that sound? Guys are signing up right now. Guys are online. They're like, "When's the next class?" Oh, all right.
Speaking of that, speaking of next class, what we're going to do is we're changing the way we open up class registration, because we have so much interest in the classes. We're only going to open up registration for a week at a time. So when the next class that we do, we're going to open it up for a week, and that way we're going to get the core group of students that actually want to be there. The people that sign up first are who's going to be there.
And also, Jared, you might want to let them know that, if you haven't taken the time to sign up for the e-blast, the weekly notification newsletter that you get, the free one that goes out to everybody, if you haven't taken the time to do that yet, shame on you, because it's free. It costs you nothing. And that is how Jared is going to be letting everybody know what's going on.
And if you're interested in training specifically, go to sotgu.com and sign up for that specific newsletter, because that's who's going to get the training stuff first.
Okay. All right. Rock on. So you're like, but man, I'm going to have to really like pay attention. Well, yeah, you are. I know it breaks your heart, but if you're going to pay attention to something, it should be Student of the Gun, should it not?
It should be. And who pays attention to Student of the Gun here?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, you should. All right.
Who makes it possible for everybody?
Well, I'll tell you. I was just going to tell them that. Everybody who showed up for our class yesterday was greeted not only by their course material, but they got a bunch of goodies and swag and cool stuff. Thanks to our friends at SWAT Fuel. Thanks to our friend Dr. Dan. Everybody got stickers and wristbands and car chargers and SWAT Fuel samples. And
what did Ben say? Ben said he was super focused but super chill.
He was,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's exactly. What he said.
Ben took the SWAT Fuel Plus P in the morning when we first started class, and then when we were all done at the very end, we'd put away our guns, we're getting ready to leave the range and what have you. And I asked Ben, I'm like, dude, how did it feel? He goes, I was alert but chilled. He said, if that makes any sense. He goes, I wasn't shaky or tremored or anything like that, but he goes, I felt really alert and focused, but still chill. I'm like, that is exactly it. So, and of course, thank you to all of our friends out there in the Student of the Gun audience that listen to the show, listen to the radio show, watch the TV show, signed up. All our buddies from the cigar shop, thanks for coming out. And thank you, obviously, to SWAT Fuel. And if you're going to make an order, go to SWATfuel.com. If you're interested. If you're not interested, well, too bad. Just, I don't know, pick your nose while I'm talking about this. But go to SWATfuel.com. And when you make your order, make sure that you use the promo code, because you want to save money. Don't you? Of course you do. So the promo code at SWATfuel.com is SOTG2014. And that saves you 20% off your total order. So, Brownells, we talked about black rifles all the entire month of November. They still have black rifle parts on sale. I'm sure they do. If you haven't signed up for the Brownells newsletter, you really should, because every week Brownells puts something on sale. Well, not just something, some things. There's always specials going on at Brownells.com. And if you own a gun, Brownells has something for you. So check them out at Brownells.com. Don't forget about our friends at Colt.com. We've got two brand new 308 rifles that we need to shoehorn in some more time at the range. You know what I did yesterday, folks? I went to the range, and I spent an entire afternoon at the range. And yours truly, I didn't fire a single shot.
I think I got to shoot two.
I demonstrated, and I talked, and I taught. And that's what happens. People think, well, you're an instructor, man. You probably shoot all the time. Well, not really. I mean, I shoot whenever I can, but sometimes you spend more time talking than you do shooting. But we're going to shoehorn in some time to shoot those Colt rifles, get them on video. And we've got a new season of Student of the Gun TV coming up for you guys in 2015, in January 2015, so stay tuned for that. Now, the last one we're going to talk about before we jump into our Good Guy of the Week is Velocity Triggers. And if you guys have been following the show the last few weeks, you know that we've been working with several of our friends in the industry on two rifle builds. We've got two separate Velocity Triggers, one with a standard curved trigger and one with a straight trigger. And if you have an AR-15 and the trigger's not what you think it should be, or you'd like to kind of give it an upgrade, Velocity Triggers has something for you, and you can find it pretty easy. Just type in the word Velocity Triggers, and you go there. But what we've got right now, we have one gun that's completed, and then I have one gun that I actually don't have. I had to go on to Brownells.com this week and order a couple of some parts and pins, because believe it or not, and you look at a rifle and you're like, yeah, it's a rifle, right? But when you take it apart and you're like, there's a buffer pin, there's a takedown pin, there's the pivot pin, and all those have retaining pins and all kinds of and little tiny springs. And so when you take a strip lower, which we got two strip lowers AR-15 lowers from Element Arms up there in Becker, Minnesota, in the frozen tundra. If you're around there, pop in there and say hello to them. But Element Arms, and they also have a website. Hey, Jared, tell them what the Element Arms website is.
I'm going to elementarms.com.
Yeah. Quit yawning over there, freak.
I didn't get any coffee yet.
Shame on you. But anyway, so we got the Element Arms lowers, and the first gun is assembled. It's a 300 blackout, a 300 AAC blackout rifle. And the second rifle, it's been Duracoated and it's ready to basically be put together, it's going to be a heavy barreled 223, a precision 223 rifle, and that's when we put the straight trigger in. And whether it's SWAT Fuel, Brownells, Colt, Velocity Triggers, Excess Sights, whoever it happens to be, if they're a sponsor, Student of the Gun, and you enjoy listening to Student of the Gun every week, let those guys know. Say, hey, I really appreciate you sponsoring Student of the Gun so they can have cool pop filters and black carbon steel microphones and little monitors that tell Paul how long he's been talking, all that good stuff. Now, Jared's going to go ahead. Are you going to take SWAT Fuel?
Yeah, I'm going to. You hear that?
Yeah.
I'm taking the blue pill because he told me to stop yawning.
Yeah, you need to stop yawning over there, freak. We got 3 hours of radio to record, 2 live hours, or not live, 2 public hours, and then the bonus grad program hour.
What do we have coming up in the second hour for people?
Well, in the second hour, we're going to talk to. We've got an interview, a special interview with a young man who has been listening to us from the very beginning. He lives up in Indiana. He's a rodeo star, and with Indiana Youth Rodeo League. I'm probably not saying that right. Youth Rodeo Association. Forgive me, Andrew. But Andrew's we're gonna have him.
He's gonna tell us all about it.
Yeah, we're gonna have him on via whatever, Google Talk or whatever.
Super secret.
Secured
line
secure
for
line.
Student of the Gun University.
In hour 2, we're going to talk about Granny Stops a Robbery and our Chris Vector package. And actually, we got something to talk about in hour 2, and I'll just give you a little tiny tidbit. Last week, our Excess Sights Good Guy of the Week wanted to talk about the SB-15 wrist stabilizers, or the what are the ones for AK calls? SB-47s, right? Yeah, I guess SB-15, SB-47. But the wrist stabilizers and the length of them and what have you. Well, ironically enough, somebody who works for a company that makes the extension tubes for the SB-15 wrist stabilizers contacted us this week and said, hey, I heard the show, and I want you to know that I actually work for a company that makes those. And we're like, okay, I'm from Missouri, show me. Well, man, I tell you what, that all in the period of 1 week from the last time I talked to you to now, I actually made contact with this individual, TJ is his name, and we got in our hot little hands one of these kits, and we put it on a gun, not on an AR-15, but on something else. And you're going to want to check that out. Now, those of you that follow us on Facebook already know, but if you're not following us on Facebook, Student of the Gun, Facebook/Student of the Gun, then you need to listen up. Jared, I think it's time for me to stop talking and for you to tell everybody who the Excess Sights Good Guy of the Week is and where their question came from and what it is. So hit it.
Our good guy this week is Lou, and I'm only going to say his first name because he posted the stuff to Facebook in secret. And what did he say? He wanted to be secretive. He said something about he didn't want to post it to the forum because of fear of vagination.
Whatever, dude.
But anyway, Lou, go ahead and send me your address, shirt size, phone number, and your email include the email in the email that you send me at Jared, JARRAD, @studentofthegun.com. And Lou says, and he's talking about Excess Sights here. He says, if these are considered great sights for the application of quick acquisition in what we can call combat distances, why are they not issued in great masses to police departments versus to Trijicon/Meprolite?
That's it?
He says, I heard someone else ask it, but they never got an answer. Now let me just say, I'm not bashing Excess at all. I've actually met and spoken with Stephanie and John on 2 different occasions and think they're top-notch people and are a great company.
All right, well, let's deal with that for a second. I've been playing this shooting education, training, gun carrying game for 30 years now, 3 decades. And I can tell you this, that the shooting sports industry, like any other industry, you have a lot of what I'll call traditionalists. And there are people that, and I suppose the shooting industry is a little bit different, or the gun community, than most industries, because people take their guns and gun choices and ammunition choices and brand loyalty to extremes. Think about it like this. In your kitchen, think about what's in your kitchen right now. You probably have a toaster, you probably have a microwave oven, you probably have a coffee maker. And unless you're a super coffee ninja or a super toast ninja, do you know the brand name and model of your toaster? I mean, it has a brand name, and it probably has an official model, right? And you're like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I put bread in it and it makes toast. I don't know what it is or even who makes it. How about your coffee maker? How about your microwave? Do you even know? I mean, unless you have super brand loyalty. But when it comes to most average common appliances, things that you have in your house, people don't really have that brand loyalty. They have price loyalty. Like, well, why did you buy the coffee maker? Well, because, I wanted one that was going to last, and this one was on sale, so I thought it was a good deal, and I bought it. Guns and gun and ammunition and so forth are the exact opposite. Gun people have brand loyalty, and they have loyalty to certain companies. Because why? Well, my grandfather taught me how to shoot with a Remington or a Mossberg or a Winchester or whatever. Or my uncle, taught me how to hunt deer with a pump-action Winchester or what have you. It doesn't matter. And so people, they grow up and they're very, very brand loyal. And they don't accept change very often. People will... There's always a small percentage of people that anything that's new, that they'll buy into it just because it's new. But the vast majority of shooters and shooting people, gun industry people, they don't accept new things, or they're very leery of new things because they're different. And that's just human nature. Now, when it comes to the excess sight, I really find it kind of hilarious when I hear people in 2014 say something about those new sights. Like, the excess, yeah, those new ones, those weird, they're strange, they're different, they're what. I'm like, and I want to tell them, dude, the company is like 20 years old. They may not be a full 20 years old, but I know that I've had excess sights on. I've been using them since 1997. Yes. I believe I installed the first set of excess sights on a pistol in 1997. So you do the math, at least 17 years. That, I don't really think that you would call 17 years new. But people in the industry and police officers, you're like, well, why don't police officers use them? I'll tell you this. Well, number one, most police officers in the United States of America are not gun people. What? No, they carry guns every day, Paul. No, I know that. No, they're not gun people like you and I are gun people. Now, the cops, hey, brothers, the ones that are listening to me right now are probably gun people. But the vast majority of police officers are not gun people. They're just guys who have jobs, and they happen to also have to carry a gun because of their job, or gals, or what have you. So they don't really, the truth is most cops really don't care all that much about the choice of gun and what's attached to the gun. They're not really, it's kind of like, the toasters and the microwaves and stuff. Well, if you asked a deputy sheriff or a police officer or somebody, why do you carry a Glock? Why do you carry a SIG? Why do you carry this? And the majority of them would just say, well, I carry that because that's what the department issued me, and that's what I use, and that's it. There's a very, very small, and I can tell you this because I was a cop for 17 years before I left that to become a firearms instructor full time. But anyway, my point is this. Cops don't really care all that much about what's on their guns, what their guns go into. They just know what the department issues them. and the department issues them whatever the gun companies sell them. Okay. All right, I'm with you. The gun companies, the rep from Smith or Glock or SIG or HK or whomever, goes and sits down with the sheriff, the chief of police, the chief deputy, who's ever in charge of making gun purchases for the agency, sits down with them and says, hey, I'll make you a deal. I'll sell you this many guns for this much. If I'll buy those guns from you, and we'll shuck and trade and jive and so forth. Okay, great. What's the bottom line? How much is it going to cost me? And then they sell them whatever the salesman considers to be the police tactical, super cool ninja tactical model, whether it's a G22 with Mepper light sights or what have you. All right, Paul, I'm still with you. I got that. So why don't the manufacturers put them on there? Well, because the manufacturers, believe it or not, manufacturers aren't hardcore gun people. They're not shooters. Well, no, come on, Paul. Yes, they are. No, they're not. They make stuff. They make stuff and they sell stuff. You, as an individual, you care about what kind of holster you have, what kind of ammunition goes in your gun. You care about the sights that are on the gun. You care about the trigger that's in the gun. You care about all that stuff. You're really detailed into it. Most industry people aren't. They're into manufacturing large quantities of products and selling those products. Okay? And excess sights to them are new and different and strange and unusual. And if you talk to a manufacturer or the people that test the guns, they're like, well, these guns were tested in the factory. Yes, they were. Most factories have test tunnels, or they have if they're lucky enough to be out in the country. Most factories aren't in the country; they're in urban areas, or maybe even suburban areas. But they have test tunnels, and they take the guns and they sit down at the bench and they test fire them to make sure that they actually function. They go boom, boom, boom. Okay, good. The gun works, and we're out of here. They don't. Your average Smith & Wesson, Glock, whatever. They don't go out to tactical response and spend 2 days dropping guns and kicking guns around in the dirt and rolling over on their backs and shooting on the move and shooting around cover and doing shoot houses and clearing and what have you, and left-handed shooting and right-handed shooting. They don't do that. That's not what they do. I'm not saying that they don't make quality products. They do make quality products. But when it comes to what do they care about, they don't really care about all that jazz. And that's why they just default to whatever is the simplest. And you say, well, then they should have the excess sights. Well, yeah, they probably should. They're the fastest sights in any light. But they're still different, unusual, uncommon to them, to their way of thinking. And that's how you get that. The only way that you affect change, the only way that you get street cops carrying excess sights is if you have a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain that is a serious guy, that is a serious shooter, that actually attends training, that actually understands, the ins and outs of fast, dynamic shooting. That's how you get them in their hands. And just because your local police department isn't carrying excess sights doesn't mean that they're not the fastest sights, because quite frankly, most cops don't know the difference. And I've been out on ranges with guys, and I've handed them a pistol with excess sights on it, and they'll pick it up and they'll stand there and they'll slow fire 5, 10, 15 rounds maybe into a paper silhouette with my gun with excess sights on it, and they'll examine their shot groups, and they'll say, BFD, I can do that with the sights that are on my gun now, with the normal sights. Why do I need these? Well, if all you're going to do is stand flat-footed on a sunny day on the range and shoot without moving, two-handed, light is good, then you don't need excess sights. You don't. Excess sights aren't for sunny Sunday afternoons when the light is good and, people aren't trying to kill you and you're not trying to move. If you want to know the value of an excess sight system, you need to shoot from your back, shoot from around cover, shoot from unusual positions. You need to shoot while you're moving. Move your feet, move backwards, move forwards, move sideways. Go through a shoot house or a clearing house where you have shadows, deep shadows and bright lights and so forth. That is when you realize the value of express sites or big dot sites. So I know that was a little bit long-winded, but I really felt that the explanation was needed. And so, hey, this is my show, and I just did that. All right, Jared, over there on the other side, are we ready to move into our monologue? You got anything to say? You're over there. You're fidgeting. What are you doing?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the mind-blowing part of the episode. I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Okay. I see you have taken a seat and you're relaxing there. Well, all right. You guys know, you should know, even if you went to public school, what is the definition? Jared, I'm going to ask you this because I've asked you it before, but I want to. What is the definition of darkness?
The lack of light?
The absence of light?
Yeah.
Yeah. We create light. Light is energy. Light is a result of energy, of positive energy. Darkness is not a result of positive energy. Darkness is the result of a lack of light. Correct?
Right.
We don't make darkness. We don't create darkness. There's no light out there that makes darkness, or there's no handheld device that you flick a switch and it makes darkness. Now, you can have artificial darkness with smoke or fog or what have you, but darkness is simply the absence of light. And light doesn't just happen on its own. Light is a result of positive energy. Liberty, human liberty, is much like light. Liberty does not just happen as a default. Many people in the United States of America believe or act or go out about their daily business ignoring liberty or assuming that liberty will just occur all on its own, that it will happen all on its own. And it doesn't. Liberty is actually a product of energy, of positive energy. The only way that you can have liberty for yourself, and when I say liberty, I don't necessarily just mean freedom. When I say liberty, what I'm saying is that it's not just going to happen all on its own. It's going to happen as a product of energy, of deliberation. People who in the United States believe that just because I am an American citizen, just because I was born here, I'm guaranteed liberty. I'm guaranteed freedom. They're making a mistake. They assume that it's just going to happen on its own. And it's not. It's not going to happen. If you sit there and think, well, just because I'm an American, just because I was born here, just because we have a Constitution, just because the Founding Fathers did what they did, then I'm guaranteed liberty. You're wrong. You're incorrect. And the reason I feel so strongly about this is because a lot of people on our side, in the gun world, in the gun community, a lot of those people don't seem to get it. They don't seem to get that it's not just about guns. It's not just about owning guns or having guns or playing with guns or hunting or three-gunning or whatever. Guns are a part of liberty. Firearms are a part of liberty. When you deprive someone the right to possess arms, and whether it's a spear or a bow or a sword or a lance or a firearm, when you deny them arms, you are denying them liberty. When you have a lack of liberty, if you don't have the positive energy that it takes to put forth to ensure liberty, well, what do you end up with? Well, what is darkness? Darkness is a default. It is an absence of light. And slavery or servitude is that same thing. It is a default of the absence of liberty. If you don't participate in your own liberty, if you don't participate in the preservation of liberty in the United States of America, then what you end up with is a default, and that would be slavery and servitude. It doesn't just happen all on its own. You actually have to be an active participant. And unfortunately, I just don't see that today. I don't see it as much as I believe we should see it. We have people that are on our side, ostensibly, and they think that we need to be more reasonable and that we need to give a little more and a little more and a little more to get along. And they don't understand why people like myself and others are so hard-headed and so extreme that we're not willing to just give up a little bit. Well, when you give up a little bit, when you give up a little here, a little there, what do you end up with? Well, you end up defaulting to the level of servitude, to a level of slavery. Maybe not slavery with physical chains, but definitely slavery nonetheless. And it saddens me. I'm not trying to bring you guys down, but it saddens me that people that should know better feel like their only participation is voting once every 2 years or once every 4 years. And then they do that, and then they're done. They're all done paying attention. They're all done with their citizenship duties. They're all done being concerned. And they just assume that because they are an American citizen, that they're always going to have liberty, that the United States of America is always going to stand for, quote-unquote, freedom and liberty. Now, with liberty comes responsibility. Comes the responsibility for your choices, whether they're good or bad, whether you succeed or whether you fail. Liberty is not a guarantee of success. Many people think that because they've been granted liberty by the founding fathers, by the founding documents, by the fact that they were born in the United States of America, they're the recipients of liberty, and that guarantees them success, that guarantees them comfort, that guarantees them what they want out of life, just because. That's not liberty. Liberty is responsibility. Liberty is duty. Yes, duty. Not just rights. Everyone likes to talk about their rights. I have the right to this. I have a right to keep and bear arms. I have a right to free speech. I have the right. Well, with rights come responsibilities. And with responsibilities, you must understand that you have a duty as a citizen. And there are certain duties that come with that. It's not free. You don't just get it because. And until we as a nation, until we as the collective good guys, until we get together and everyone, or at least most of us, a majority of us, realize that liberty is not simply a default. It is not a state of default. Liberty is like light. Light is a product of deliberate energy, of positive energy, whereas darkness is the default. It is a lack of light. And if we lose our liberty, if we don't guard it, if we don't exercise that energy that we need to exercise, then the default state is servitude. It is slavery. And that really is the only choices that we have to make. You have a choice as a listener of Student of the Gun Radio. If you're living in the United States of America, if you're not living in the United States of America and you're listening to me, I'm sorry for you. I hope that all things are going well where you live. I believe that we understand. And folks, I didn't mean to dive into the foreign countries or the other nationalities, but we as Student of the Gun Radio, we get letters, messages, Facebooks, all that, every week from people in other countries. We've read some of those to you from listeners in Australia, listeners in Great Britain, listeners in Canada. And they tell us, don't believe the hype, guys. It is not all unicorns and rainbows and sunny days here in Australia, in England, Great Britain, in Canada. We don't have a Second Amendment. We don't have a Bill of Rights. We just have to do whatever we're told. They've taken away our liberties. They've stripped our liberties from us a little at a time over, decades upon decades. And eventually what we have is a bunch of scared tax slaves, a bunch of fearful tax slaves who have been basically, they're like a dog who's had his teeth pulled out. They can bark, but they can't bite. That's what we have in Great Britain right now. We have a bunch of basically toothless dogs that are barking about a lack of liberty, a lack of freedom. Now they're in danger because they have mobs and thugs just roaming the streets, randomly cutting off people's heads and murdering them, and they're helpless. They're defenseless to do anything about it. And that's the model that some people think that we should emulate here in the United States of America. You say, well, that's never going to happen here. Okay, why is it never going to happen here? Because we're special? Because 200 years ago, a bunch of men got together in a room in Philadelphia and signed a piece of paper, and so that guarantees that it'll never happen here? No, that's not why. They gave us the framework. They gave us the directions. But if we don't follow those directions, if we don't follow that framework, we'll lose it. It just doesn't happen all on its own. It takes positive energy. It takes absolute effort on your part to maintain liberty. Liberty is like light. It doesn't occur all by itself. You have to do something to make it happen. And I'm hoping that in the year to come that we'll take that time, and we're trying to help you guys out through what we're doing with the Patriot Fire Team, through the videos that we're releasing, through the book that's coming up, and it's going to be released this week as you hear this. It's going to be available. We're trying to reach out and to inspire you as a listener, you who are out there and you're saying, well, I'm doing this and this, or I know I could be doing more, I know I should be doing more, what can I do? And that's what we're doing here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jared.
I've heard all too many times, mostly from people that are younger than me, they say something like, well, why should I be involved? Everybody else is already taking care of it. And what do you have to say to that? Why do you think they think that way?
Well, it's the I'm not responsible for anything mentality. It's the I guess it's the great insurance mentality. Don't worry about your bank being robbed. They're insured. Your money's insured. Don't worry about, being anything. It's always someone else's responsibility to take care of you. And the state is more than happy to convince you that you shouldn't take care of yourself. It's the police officer's job. It's the fire department's job. It's the state's job. It's everybody's responsibility but yours. You just go to work and be a tax slave. Don't worry about anything else. We'll take care of all that. And the only thing we ask is that you give us 100% absolute servitude. Anything we say, you have to do. And we've been taught that everything we want is our right, but we have no responsibilities and no duties. Just being born in America is enough to be guaranteed food and shelter and housing and free phones and free cars and free everything else for the rest of your life. And we can't keep on like that. It's not going to work.
Well, like for instance, do you want to move on to the next story, or can we keep going?
Well, I mean, do you want to do the next story in this?
We could save it, I guess. But I was going to compare what happened in Detroit or in Michigan with the water thing.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, I don't know where they got their information, but they were basically, the people were, I don't even want to call it, I can't think of the word. It just left my mind.
It just left your mind. The whole water is a human right thing.
Yeah, but no, like what they're doing, they weren't petitioning. They were
protesting.
Yeah, protesting. There it is. I knew it started with a P, but anyway, they were protesting because the local businesses were supposedly some of the ones that had the most delinquency in their water bills. And, okay, if that's true, but my thing is the people that were protesting, why were they protesting for somebody else to take care of them instead of going, like, if you didn't have water in your house, would you make a sign and go protest, or would you go out and try to find water or try to find a job to pay for your water? What would you do?
Well, let's face facts. Water is not expensive. We get here at the Student of the Gun University building, we have a water bill, and we get, what, 10,000 gallons a month? 5,000 gallons a month?
Yeah.
We get 5,000 gallons a month for the base rate of $25 or something like that. It's a lot of freaking water, folks.
Yeah.
There's people in the world, there's people in Africa that don't see 5,000 gallons of water a year, much less a month. But it's an entitlement mentality that, well, because I'm born here, everything I want, I'm entitled to everything I want.
Well, and another thing that I said was the businesses have their water on. They provide to the community. They provide tax dollars to the community. These people that were protesting because they didn't have water, what are they giving to the community?
Well, let's face facts. They're all leeches.
They're already getting free housing, so they want free water too?
No useful purpose in life. And you can't survive. You know, we talked about this before. We cannot survive as a nation when we have more people taking out of the system that are putting into the system. When we have more people leeching off of the system than are actually providing a value to the system, then you can't survive as a nation.
You end up like California.
It doesn't matter what the name of your country is. You know, United States of America, Swaziland, it doesn't matter if you have more people that are taking away and not non-producers. Producers versus non-producers. That's not the way the world was ever established to be. I mean, let's face it. You go back, in your world history, go back to the tribes and so forth. If you didn't produce, no one would accept. They wouldn't accept a physically fit adult not contributing to the community. It was not acceptable at all. And we've gotten to that point where we have decided that in order to be fair or to be just or to be nice, that some people, well, they just can't. Yes, they can. They just don't want to. And we can't survive as a nation. It's not, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to consider it or not, whether you want to talk about it, the fact of the matter is it's like, was in video too, I talked about whistling past the graveyard. It's like, well, I'm not going to talk about it because if I talk about it, then it'll happen. No, if there's a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico and it's going to make landfall in 5 days, ignoring the fact that the hurricane is out there, the hurricane doesn't care whether you acknowledge it. It's coming. The storm doesn't care whether or not you've made the conscious decision to acknowledge it. It's still going to happen. And whether or not you acknowledge the fact that the country is in trouble, whether or not you acknowledge the fact that we're going down a slow and steady descent into the 7 levels of hell, whether or not you acknowledge that or not doesn't stop it from happening. Oh, I'm just going to put my head in my iPhone and play Candy Crush while the world crumbles around me. Whether or not you acknowledge it, whether or not it hurts my feelings or it makes me uncomfortable, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to listen to people who talk about it. Jared, I don't like to. It's like these. Oh, we're all about guns, not politics, folks. Guns are politics. Guns are freedom. Guns are arms, and arms is liberty, and the possession of arms equals liberty, and the denial of the possession of arms equals slavery, and that's it, and it always has been through the entire history of mankind. There's always been one group that has tried to disarm another group, and after that other group is disarmed, they're subjugated. This isn't new. It's been going on for thousands upon thousands of years, and just because you went to public school in the last 20 years and didn't learn about history doesn't make it so. I don't want to bum you out, but those are the facts. and failure to acknowledge the facts doesn't make them go away. Now, coming up in hour number 2, we're going to talk with our good friend Andrew from Indiana. We're going to talk about our new project. It's a super secret project. We're going to talk about it. Granny stops a robbery, and we want to talk about that, obviously. Go, Granny, go. What else are we going to talk about, Jared? I guess let's drop the University of Maine thing into the bonus hour so I can rant a little bit hard about it. Coming up in the bonus hour, if you're not signed up for the Student of the Gun grad program, that's cool. You're an American. You don't have to, but you're missing out. You really should. The grad program is the bonus hour. It's the Tactical Tutor newsletter. It's the free stuff. It's the exclusive offers, all that jazz. You want to check that out at studentofthegun.com. Don't forget to watch the TV show. Don't forget to sign up for the free mobile app. Android.
You don't even have to sign up for it. You just download it.
You just download it. Google Play, iTunes.
If you haven't seen the video series that we've put out for the Patriot Fire Team, I want you to do that. Go to prepare. That's prepare.patriotfireteam.com. It'll take you to the first video. Watch the series. Leave your comments in the little area below the video. And there's 2 free reports you get in video 1 and video 3.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to patriotfireteam.com lately, check it out. Jared's done a lot of work sprucing up the website. All right, folks, we'll be right back with you with part number 2. Remember, you're a beginner once, you're a student for life.